Hey YouTube, my name is Sven. Welcome to the Metal Foundry. Currently, there is an extremely bad weather situation in the south of Europe, especially for Slovenia, and even for Wacken open air. So instead of focusing on a negative, I wanted to share with you a positive story, a very positive experience that I had at the Tolminator festival. That was last week, from the 25th until the 29th of July. I'm going to tell you about my personal experience there, I'm going to tell you about the journey there, and also about how the festival went and what I really think of it. And in the end, I will also share with you an interview that I did with the organizer, with Chart, from Dirty Skunks, who is organizing Tolminator. So, without further ado, let's dig in. I start everything, actually, my whole trip started with packing everything, packing my car. I packed my stuff on Monday. My stuff, that means my guitar, my amplifier, my pedal board, my effect units, my camera, my tent, sleeping bag, mattresses, but also the tents of the other guys of the band, because since I was traveling early, I wanted to be able to reserve a spot for everybody, for the whole camp, for our whole entourage. So yeah, my car was fully loaded and I was driving alone, so it was one hell of a trip. I think it was 1,200, 1,300 kilometers, and it took me, I think I left around 6 o'clock in the evening. So this is it, finally time to leave to Tolmin in Slovenia to go to the Tolminator festival. My car is packed and I arrived around 1 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. Hell yeah, finally arrived in Tolmin. Took me quite some time because I did extra stops, was getting very tired. Currently now at the parking for VIP and artists and so on. So I have to go to the production office and get our wristbands and everything else. And of course, pay them the money from the tickets that we sold. So here we go. Along the highway in Germany, I did a couple of stops just to sleep for a couple of hours in my car. A power nap or two, in order to be fresh when I had to hit the Kobarid mountain range. Because the guys who've been to Slovenia before, coming from Belgium, the small mountain ways, that's always very tricky, and especially when you're sleepy, so that's why it was important to get some decent sleep. While I was driving there was also reports of extremely bad weather. I think the week before there were hailstorms, even tornadoes in northern Italy and in Slovenia. And effectively, when I was driving to Slovenia, there were reports of heavy rain, a massive wind and so on. So even trees were tipped over, fell on cars. And yeah, the situation looked very dire. First thing that I remarked is how reactive and how communicative the organization was, because I was already a member of the fan group when I was traveling there, but even on their own Facebook page of the event, they were sharing everything that was going on. They were sharing, apparently there was a hall. I will tell you more about the construction of the festival and about the layout of the festival. So there was a building that they used for the after parties and for the pre parties, and they effectively opened that building and put all the lights on for people to get shelter, and they communicated also to get your clothes in the car to keep them as dry as possible. So yeah, big thumbs up for the organization beforehand, before even I arrived. So it's now 10:06. First stop along the road, sanitary stop as we say. Stretch legs a bit. Already drove 391 kilometers and there are still 859 to go. Everything is going according to plan. There's some storms approaching Tolmin at the moment. Code orange. So I've seen on the update that they would provide shelter and yeah, lots of rain and then possible heavy winds. Right, at least a lot of storms. So we'll see when we arrive how the weather will be. Then when I arrived, things were very easy. I just had to pick up our wristbands and our artist cards, and then I could park my car and I could place my tent at the VIP and band camping area. That was the area where the main stage used to be for Metaldays. And then I also had to arrange for the ticket sales and so on. And when that was done, yeah, I could start to relax and enjoy my holiday. So the festival site itself was a bit different. I had a discussion with some guys that I knew around there. When you So when you see when you had the main area where the festival, where the main stage used to be, there was VIP parking, parking for the production staff, and there was also parking for the bands that were playing at the main stage at the new underground stage. And there were also possibility to camp there for the bands. And then you had the other areas where you could camp, where there was an area to camp with a camper and to get a power socket, because that wasn't part of the thing. Punk Rock Holiday organized that part, because it's a collaboration between Dirty Skunks and Punk Rock Holiday. Then you had a big camping area for normal tents and so on. And then the first thing, that was very apparent, the festival was a lot smaller. So the maximum capacity is 5,000 people. I think they sold about 2,000 tickets. Yeah, it looked very logic. Normally the old campsite would go until the cemetery, especially when Metaldays was there. Now I think it went even when now the parking area stopped where the camper area used to be for Metaldays. So you had to walk for a while to get into the center, but there is a small tunnel underneath the road they were constructing. So festival site layout. Let's get back to that. So festival site layout. Then when you had the building, there has always been a cocktail bar, and there was the underground stage. So the bands until 4 o'clock played there. There was local bands, smaller bands like we from Belgium. And then as soon as those bands were finished, the programmation on the main stage started. Main stage was at the area where the Bosco Borstad stage used to be. And instead of having the stage constructed in the forest and firing towards the main building, they had the back of the stage next to the main building and firing towards the forest. Apparently, they communicated with the local municipality to fire the sound towards the forest and not towards the village, to get less issues with the local community. So there's also a big thumbs up for the organization, because they communicated with the local community to make the festival even possible. Then the main building, there was also reserved for press, bands and VIP. So when you had a VIP access, you could go there. There was a bar, possibility to charge your phone, charging points and so on. There were a couple of guys who had a VIP access. When you played in a band, regardless of the stage you were in, you could go anywhere you wanted, except for the backstage area of the main stage at least. But besides all that, you could go anywhere you really want, as a band member that is. And for the underground bands, there was a separate backstage area where every band had his own cubicle with a fridge filled with beer and water. And you could spend the whole day there if you wanted, between 10 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock in the evening. So also a very big upgrade compared with my experience that I had with Metaldays when I played there with War Beast Remains in 2018. Then the New Forces stage would be around the beach, and then it was really a pain to get your stuff there, because when you were camping on the camping grounds, you had to carry your gear towards the main stage, and then otherwise there would be a shuttle between the main entrance for the artist and the beach stage. But now with Tolminator, it was not necessary, because since we were parking and camping close to the stage entrance, it was very easy. It was really a no-brainer to get our gear there. So it was top-notch organization for that as well. There were also side activities. There was a blacksmith that I didn't really watch, because I think I was just walking around networking and so on. There was a yoga session that I attended to. I think Thursday morning there were 3 yoga sessions, Wednesday, Thursday and Friday, and it was at the beach area. It was very calm. A float rampage on Friday morning, not Friday morning, Friday afternoon. After our set, there was a floaty rampage, and I didn't really go there and watch the floaty rampage because I was interviewing Chert, but there is some footage of the floaty rampage you can see here as well. Food-wise, food and drinks still with the classic pay card. You could top your card up with cash or with bank card, with a credit card if you wanted, or with your debit card. There was ample choice. You had burgers, you had vegan options as well. You had cocktails. I think pina colada of 1 liter for 18 euros. So my first day was kind of a buzz. Towards the end of the week I was completely fresh because yeah, we had to play our sets at Friday around 10 to 1 in the beginning of noon, around noon actually. And also what very useful, in the VIP area you also had toilets with running water. You also had the normal classic shower area that you would have with Metaldays. So actually most of the staff was the same. I think I recognized some people behind the bar who used to be the same people of previous editions of Metaldays, because yeah, they were locals at least. And the whole crew of Dirty Skunks existed since 30 years. They had a lot of experience. They think they run the show very well. Communication was top notch. You could ask whatever question you had and they would give an answer to you. Then the same evening, I think I arrived on Tuesday morning, and there were also reports for extreme bad weather at the night as well. So already code orange, and or as usual, the organization was communicating about it beforehand. A friend of mine who was there, Michael, he had his radar on his app, he had his website on his smartphone, where we could actually see the storm, and we were extremely lucky because I think the storm passed north and south of the Socha Valley, so we were safe, I think, except of very heavy rain during Dying Fetus. During Dying Fetus' set, that's the only thing we had, and unfortunately they had to cut the set short because the rain was extremely heavy. But besides all that, everything was fine. Then the next day, on Wednesday was a Belgian band, Speed Queen, will play there. So I went to see those guys as well, spent some time with them in the backstage. And Wednesday afternoon, our singer and his wife arrived. Thursday, our bass player and his wife arrived, and our drummer as well. And Friday was the big day for us, for Hopi Roads, when we had to play at the New Forces. I was gonna say New Forces stage, because I was still in Metaldays mode, I think, in a way. Before I'll show you the interview with Chert, I wanted to give you my own personal impression. What I really liked about this edition, I mean, for a first edition, they really put the bar up high. I mean, come on. Communication was top notch. They had their own Facebook channel and their own Instagram, and they had a fan-based group where all the fans could communicate and post and so on. From the beginning onwards, there were a lot of controversial posts. There were a lot of nostalgic posts of previous editions of Metal Camp and Metaldays, but also some controversial posts about the old organization that I really don't want to go into detail about. And from the get-go, Tolminator organization was very clear about it. They wanted to they didn't want to do the comparison. They didn't want to go in depth. They didn't want to react in depth to that point either, because it's a fresh start and it's a complete different point of view, at least. They really want, and I will let Chart explain all that during the interview. But what I really liked is the way they communicated. I think there was one example I will show you of one girl who was in a wheelchair, and then she said, "Yeah, guys, I think one remark, there is an issue. There is one toilet missing because we have to walk for a mile, and with a wheelchair is very difficult, and even when you have to go on foot to go to the nearest toilet. So could you please do something about it?" And the next day they placed a toilet there and they erected immediately. "Sorry guys, we got this and we do this." So this is even without thinking and there's nobody like, "Oh, I have no idea how to handle this." No, they just deal with it. And if you share the post as a band or as an individual, whatever, if you share the post and you tag them, they would reshare your post on their socials immediately as well. So there was one guy 24/7 working with his phone and doing everything. Like, I've never seen something like that before. It's absolutely great. I mean, the way the reactivity and also the positivity. I mean, they had a challenge with the bad weather. I think that's the only parameter that they could not control. So, of course, typical for Slovenia and especially for that valley, the weather can change in 5 minutes flat. And that's beyond their control. But still, they did everything they could and they were prepared for that. They had extra shelter locations. They made sure the tents were extra sturdy, were fixed extra, and so on. And they communicated beforehand. So instead of like leaving you figure it out for yourself, they said, guys, be careful. There's a big storm coming tonight, lots of rain. Make sure to keep your clothes dry in your car so you can have some dry clothes when necessary. Fortunately, it was not necessary, but still, you have to think about it, and that's big thumbs up for the organization. So, actually, all that aside, all that being said, so now I will show you the interview with Chart and let him explain and do his story. Clap. Here you go. So, hey YouTube, my name is Sven. Welcome to the Metal Foundry. I'm sitting here in sunny Slovenia next to Chart, the organizer of Tolminator Festival. Chart, first of all, thank you very much for inviting us.
Anytime.
And also thank you, congratulations of course with your new festival, because you've done an awesome job so far. So I just wanted to tell you that before everything else. So.
Thank you very much for the nice words.
Can you tell a bit more about yourself and how you started up with the whole idea for Tolminator?
Well, I'm doing promotion. I'm a promoter in Ljubljana, Slovenia for like 21 years with my friend Matej.
Yeah.
So we've done like 1,000 shows already, mostly metal. And I was working also at Metaldays the last 10 years. And actually, as you know, the old festival moved and we just wanted to keep this place metal.
Very cool, yeah, because the slogan that you used is "metal stays in Tolmin," so then you use Tolminator and so on. How was your approach different from other years from before? Because this is the first time you do it completely on your own, or is it in partnership with somebody else to do this?
Well, actually, we're doing the production partnership with Punk Rock Holiday because they also do the festival in this location for many years and they know how to deal with camping territories, dealing with the local community and stuff. So yeah, but that's the collaboration we really needed because we're mostly just booking bands otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's why it really everything came together, and because of this collaboration, this thing was possible at all.
Yeah, awesome, because already coming up towards the festival, even when it's still in this planning stage, I saw you were already communicating about your plans and also about communicating with the local municipality and so on. Was this on purpose, how you communicated about this? Like,
Yes, I mean, that's the thing that wasn't present before, and I think it was also the downfall of this festival area because there was a lack of communication with the locals, and also it was for me personally it was missing the fun element in the festival, and we are trying to provide this with Tolminator now.
yeah, and towards communication, because you said communication with the local community, but your communication with your own community here is also very great, because I've seen things, like the storm and so on, the way you communicate with things, like kudos for that. Is there somebody like 24/7 checking Instagram? Because every time we tag you, you immediately retag our story. Like,
Yeah, that's actually my partner Matej that's doing all the social networks and he really doesn't sleep at all.
so hey, Matej, get some sleep, but you did an awful job, man. You did an awful good job, I mean, sorry.
That's right.
Yeah, cool. And then what is your, do you have any plans and dreams for the future of Tolminator?
I think we just want to keep it this boutique style, 5,000 visitors, limited capacity, because I think also the town of Tolmin is small, the nature around is priceless, so more than 5,000 people might corrupt the whole idea.
That's indeed a good point of view. Yeah, because that has always been one of the hanging out boards of Metaldays as well. Because yeah, local community important, but also the environment is important. But when you get bigger and bigger and bigger, I can understand.
I
That.
mean, it's if you have like 10,000 people, it's twice as much as we do. Of course, there
Yeah.
is. It's more problematic for the environment if you want it or not. I mean, you produce garbage and
Yeah.
carbon footprint and stuff.
Indeed. And then, are there any other plans like spin-offs? Are you only going to stay here with Tolminator, or are it also going to be like a winter edition or something else? Or
For now, we just want to make this succeed, and it's really, me and Matej didn't really want to do a festival, but since there was an opportunity to stay here,
Yeah.
we said, "Fuck this, we have to do this." So, this is our goal. This is the end. So
Awesome. Hey, and how do you feel about the job that you did today? After like this, almost the last day of the festival, how do you feel about things?
oh, fucking tired.
I can imagine, yeah. But and I also see you watching the bands because you're very hands-on. You can see, you can meet you everywhere on the festival side and speak to you. You're very approachable. Is this what kind of bands that you saw? What are your favorites so far?
Oh, I was really surprised that Frozen Soul, they
Yeah.
really were powerful. I'm in love with Anal Natrak, definitely. I'm a bit disappointed because Dying Fetus had to shorten their set
Really?
because of the storm. I mean, we had
yes.
too much water on the stage, so it was a bit security
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah, I can imagine. But still, unfortunately, the storm on Tuesday morning, I was not here yet. But then there was another storm that arrived.
Yes.
But we were kind of spared because the zone went above and below the valley, but not through the valley.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
this is,
No, we were quite lucky actually because it was quite a huge storm and no one got hurt. Everything was alright in the end. So just a few branches scratched, a few cars.
that's work for the insurance. As
Yeah.
long as people are not hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the most
That
important
was the
thing.
most afraid. That's why we communicated to everyone through social networks and just to be alert and if there's anything wrong to go to the indoor
Yeah.
spaces.
Yeah, but actually, I'm very grateful to be here, and then it's just like Tolmin is like a second home in a way. It's like a holiday.
Yeah, it's also the locals when they. I talk with the locals.
Yeah.
It's like, but you're here every year. It's my second home. I mean, before I was a worker here.
Yeah.
Even before that, I was a visitor on old metal camp festivals, and now I'm running this thing. And so, I think Tolmin is really one of the places that I live. Just got this.
No, I understand that you come the most and so on.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like an organic growth that you did, an organic path in your life that you're just went here as a visitor and then come to work here and then and so on.
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
so it's a
yeah, I
natural
mean-
evolution that you're following.
I mean, I'm a fan of metal. That's the primary thing, and then I just found work in this business.
And then have you checked with the local community because like there's of course people will compare and will ask questions how things were and so on. This time there are not many outside activities compared to the last editions. But those were organized by the local community then, or what the other like the bars that you had in the city center, extra bar or extra breakfast thing and so on.
Well, it's Tolminator. It's the first edition of it, so everyone knows that it's not gonna be a huge thing like the previous festivals. So it's not so much profit for the local businesses. So some put their stalls on, but many didn't think it would be so profitable. But I think this will change in the next editions.
Yeah, but you put the bar already very high for the very first edition. I don't see that there are really big remarks that I could make about things that could be improved or whatever.
Thank
so
you.
It's like
No, there's always place for improvement.
of course, but like okay, of course there is still the classic like the toilet paper it runs out after 3 o'clock in the morning. You know,
That sucks.
and then how are the bands reacting that are coming to play here?
So far, everyone was super happy to be here and want to come back, of course. And we had also some agents around, and they were also amazed by the thing. Nobody really expected that it's going to be so good. But it's actually normal because we have the old crew here. All the crew from the old festivals is here, and so there is a know-how, you know.
Yeah, even people behind the bar that are the same as the last years.
Yes.
Because I still recognize them. They've changed their hair, the color of their hair, of course. But then,
Yeah, they got grey a bit.
Yeah, me too, but awesome. Do you have any, like, for example, upcoming bands and so on? Because you have now this approach, if you want to play here, you have to come here and you have to fill out a form. Do you have any suggestions, like, for other younger bands that would like to play here and not come to the festival? What should they do to...
You mean with the forms? And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's we have this actually all the festivals in Tolmin have this procedure that it's a boutique festival. All of them are here like that. So it's based on the fans that come to this festival. So every festival tries to build like a family thing. So of course we want to see also the bands from the family, you know. So
of course.
And that's why we said the priority should be to get bands on stage from actual festival visitors. So that's why there's an application form on the info point, and the visitor can sign up their bands, and probably they'll play next year, like you did.
Yes, indeed. Thank you. Yes, very. Yeah, I'm very happy the way everything went. Like, because I met you, like, I think 5 years ago when I played here for the first time with my previous band. You know.
Yes.
So it's like it's always nice to see you again, and I would like to thank you very much for your time and for the interview. And if there is anything else that you want to say for the Metal Foundry, for my audience,
just come here once. You'll be surprised.
I completely agree. Chart, thank you.
Thank you.
And all the best.
Thanks.
It doesn't have to be...
Well, that was the interview with Shirt, the organizer of Tolminator. Very short and sweet. If you have any further questions, put them down in the comments section. I will make sure to get to them and he will answer them. And I'll even do a follow-up video if necessary. And if you have any other questions about my experience, just put them down in the comment section as well, and I will answer them directly to you. And last but not least, I really invite you to consider visiting Tolmin, because it's a very cool area. It's such a river and the nature and everything surrounding. It's a very cool area, very beautiful area, as you can see in the pictures that are circulating everywhere. It's a whole experience, a whole new festival, but in a way, I think I've never visited Metal Camp, but I imagine it could be something like that. That it would be a similar experience, very small, very familiar, but very cool and very welcoming. And I would suggest, if you ever have the chance to visit the area and to visit one of the festivals, because they also have Punk Rock Holiday. But if you want to go there, it's a no-brainer. Just do it. That's all I would say. That's actually all for me this week. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content I'm creating on this channel and you want to help me grow my channel, please subscribe and click the notification bell to be notified whenever I upload a new video. My name is Sven, you've been watching the Metal Foundry, and I see you in a future video. Bye.